So, I've been using the Loupedeck CT in my live streaming setup with ECamm Live, but let's discuss. What's up, people? Welcome to the channel where we talk about music licensing, music production, and music business. If you love any of the previously mentioned, be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date on all my latest content. Make sure you hit that bell icon so you know exactly when that new content drops. So listen, I've been raving about this Loupedeck CT device. Shout out to Loupedeck. They sent it to me for free to give my honest opinion and review on it. And it's been a super dope experience so far. If you haven't seen my other videos on using it in Logic Pro and using it in Final Cut Pro, check those videos out. But man, so I used it with my streaming setup, and man, listen, I want so bad for this thing to play nice with ECamm Live. Now listen, I don't know if it's an ECamm Live issue, the profile issue, or if it's Loupedeck and the way it communicates with ECamm Live. I don't know, but it's just not working out for me. It's not smooth like I'm used to. So let me talk about some things that I've been experiencing with streaming using the Loupedeck CT as my controller and interface of, with all of my shortcuts and stuff. So when I initially got the Loupedeck CT, I downloaded and installed the custom profile for ECamm Live and Logic Pro and Final Cut Pro, but we're talking about ECamm Live on this one. So downloaded it. It didn't work like just immediately. It just wasn't working for whatever reason. So I came back to it later because at the time I wasn't streaming. I wasn't live streaming. I was like somewhere with my wife, like having a second child. So that kept us busy for a while, but it just wasn't working. So I was just like, I'll come back to it when it's time for me to, start testing and using this thing in my workflow. So I came back to it and started using it, and then it worked with ECamm Live and the custom profile. Like, I don't know, I opened it up and the stuff started working. I could change scenes, I could mute the mic, I could do a screen share, or I could do all the different things that you can do in ECamm Live on their custom profile, adjust the volume and things like that on the mic. So I was like, cool. It must have been, maybe a software update, because, from the time I first got the Loupedeck to the time I started using it, there was a software update on Loupedeck's end. So I was like, okay, maybe that fixed it. So then it was working fine. We're good to go. So then, when it's time for me to start testing out the streaming aspect of it, the profile buttons and shortcuts just stopped working again. I was just like, wait, it was just working like 2 weeks ago. Like, what happened? So I went in and I was just like, you know what? Let me see if I can just recreate the shortcut. So I went into the custom profile that you can download for ECamm Live and went in and just kind of manually added shortcuts, and ECamm Live, they'll show you like what the shortcuts are for certain things. Like if you want to hide a chat message in the stream or something, like there's a shortcut for that. If you want to do a screen share, there's a shortcut for that. So I like went in and I was like manually adding shortcuts to stuff so that it would work the way it was supposed to already work. Again, I don't know if this is an ECamm Live profile issue or if it's just a device just for whatever reason just forgetting to work with ECamm and play nice. So I had to go in and reset everything up so that, so I can use it when I stream. Now, once I did that and I went in and kind of reassigned those shortcuts, the annoying thing was that it would change like the icons that were already set up for in the ECamm Live custom profile. So that was kind of annoying. You have to go through and research the icons and stuff like that. So as of like right now, like I don't even think I have icons on that joint. It's just like regular text. So I still have to do that. So once I got all that stuff set up, I was good to go. I was like, okay. And I tested it just doing some recording straight to my computer versus streaming. So now it's time for me to test it live. So I had a live music review where I review people's music to see if it's ready for TV and film, which was super dope because it's been a while since we did it. So that was dope. Shout out to everybody who came through that. And yeah, like there was a lot of things that was happening. Not a lot, like it was just, it was small. It was small. It wasn't huge, but it was huge enough for me to be annoyed by it, to not want to use it with ECamm Live in my streaming setup. So this is what kept happening, right? So once I finally got everything, you know, as I'm streaming, I'm noticing certain things that I use a lot, such as the DJ horn. The DJ horn gets used a lot on my stream. So I didn't have that sound, you know, on my custom profile on ECamm Live. So I had to manually like add the shortcut to that sound. Like while I'm live, I'm like adding shortcuts and stuff like, oh, I forgot, I need this, I need that. So I was like adding shortcuts and it was working. Like they would, once I added them, they would work. But this is the thing that annoyed me, especially with the live music review. I use my browser, right? And use a website to play the music that people submit to me for the live music reviews. So every time I would go to my browser, to Safari, mind you, there's an option to switch dynamic mode on or off in the Loupedeck software. And what that means is if I go to another app, the Loupedeck will detect that I'm in that app and then it would switch to the custom profile for that specific app. Super dope and super useful. And I usually keep that on, right? Because I'm switching through apps. So if I go from Logic to Final Cut, I want it to automatically know I'm in Final Cut, boom, it pulls up those shortcuts. That is a dope thing about the Loupedeck CT. However, with that turned on, every time I would go to Safari to play the music, I couldn't access my ECamm Live shortcuts. So if I'm listening to music and I'm like, yo, I want to give it the DJ horn, this is super dope, I would hit the DJ, well, I couldn't hit the DJ horn because now it's showing me my desktop custom profile because I'm in Safari. So that was kind of annoying. So I was just like, I got smart and I was like, okay, let me go into the Loupedeck software and then turn dynamic mode off, meaning if I say I want the ECamm Live custom profile and I select that profile, it's gonna stay on that profile no matter which app I go to. So I was just like, I'm winning. I figured it out. No one can stop me now, right? I was wrong. Because I went in, I turned dynamic mode off, and then I went to Safari and I'm hitting the DJ horn. DJ horn is like, nah, bruh, you're not about to hear me right now. So even with dynamic mode turned off, I still was not able to access my ECamm Live controls while playing the music in Safari. And that for me when streaming is a big deal because I want to be able to quickly access things or quickly pull up, you know, a chat message and show it on the screen, or quickly, you know, hide a chat message or switch the screens. And it just wasn't smooth and it just affects the whole production of the stream. So that has been my experience with streaming live with the Loupedeck CT. As I mentioned before, I don't know if it's just some glitch with the custom profile because I know the device, the device is dope, the device is capable, it works flawlessly in Logic Pro, it works great in Final Cut Pro, and usually, you know, in those apps, I'm either in that app or I'm not. Whereas when I'm streaming, I'm jumping in between two different apps, Safari and ECamm Live. So I don't want to have to click on the ECamm Live window to be able to get access to, to the controls in there if I'm in Safari and I'm listening to music. It's not as smooth as it was when I was using my Stream Deck. So that was the biggest thing for me, was just the workflow in streaming. I'm not sure if I want to continue to use it for streaming. Maybe I'll just go back to the old device I was using just for streaming for now. And they may work out the kinks or something like that. I'm not sure, but I really, really wanted it to just, me just have this one device for everything and not have to worry about using a separate device for streaming or a separate device for music editing and video editing and things like that. So I was a little disappointed with that, and the, you know, that not interacting the way I would like for it to. And also the lights, man, like just being able to control those lights, control the brightness and turn them on and off on Stream Deck. Like obviously Elgato, you know, they made the Stream Deck and they made the key lights that I'm using. So those things are going to communicate naturally and you know, be optimized for those devices. But again, I think that would be really, really great to add to the Loupedeck CT, that feature to control the Elgato lights. And I know they have it on PC, but they don't have a profile for Mac yet. So I'm guessing, I'm hoping that, you know, they'll release that for Mac computers at some point. That would help a little bit. And then just figuring out that dynamic mode and why it's not working the way it should with ECamm Live would be really great. But overall, I think the Loupedeck CT is a great device. I would just, you know, keep that in mind if you're looking to get it just exclusively for streaming. I feel like there are other options, or maybe even other devices from Loupedeck that may do a better job with that. But again, it could not be the Loupedeck device at all. It could just be the way the custom profile was set up. So those are my thoughts. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.